During a big fight, my son said, "I've always loved mom more than you. You're so annoying. That's why she left." 2 days later, 2 a.m. call. "Dad, my card was declined. Send $2,000 immediately or they won't let me check out of this club." My response, "Call your mom." I went back to sleep. The police station called at 9:12 a.m. I woke up to the buzz of my phone face down on the nightstand. Blue light bleeding through the cracks of my blackout shades. 2:03 a.m. Another call. Same number. Same name. "Dad, my card got declined. It's messed up. I need $2,000 like right now. They won't let me leave." I stared at the ceiling. Neighbor's heat kicked on. The vent clicked like a metronome. "Call your mom," I said, and set the phone back down. I'm not dramatic. I'm not cold. I'm just done with midnight emergencies that start with "it's only money." My name is Mason. I'm 44. I'm a dentist. I spend my days telling people that pain you've been ignoring didn't start today, and it won't end with a quick fix. In my family, I've always been the responsible one. The fixer, the background guy who keeps the lights on and the insurance paid. I can do a crown prep in under an hour. I label my lunch. I floss religiously. I live alone now. 1 bedroom near the river. A coffee mug that says "World's Okayest Dad." Gift from my son before sarcasm became his second language. 2 shirts ironed for tomorrow. A box of documents on the floor that I keep telling myself I'll file. I fall asleep with white noise and wake at 5:30 without an alarm because that's how my brain is wired after 20 years of patience at 7 a.m. The phone buzzed again. Text this time. "Don't do this. It'll ruin everything. Please." I didn't reply. I turned the phone on Do Not Disturb and lay there counting breaths like my therapist showed me. Here's the thing. 2 nights earlier, during a fight that started because I asked about a credit card bill and ended because he crossed a line and I felt the room change. My son Andrew, 17, stood in my kitchen and said, "I've always loved mom more than you. You're so annoying. That's why she left." He said it like a fact he'd rehearsed. Then he grabbed his jacket and slammed my door hard enough to shake the blinds. I didn't chase him. I stood at the sink next to a chipped ceramic bowl. The one with faint toothpaste flecks from where he spit when he can't be bothered to aim for the bathroom. I rinsed it and stacked it. I set a clean towel on the back of a chair for him. Habit muscle deep. Then I sat at my little table and looked at the print out of my last mortgage payment and thought about how much of my life I have traded for other people's peace. The night crawled at 9:12 a.m. After I finally drifted off, the ringtone cut through the white noise again. Unknown number. "Is this Dr. Mason Harper? This is Officer Delgado with the 7th Precinct. Your son is here." I put on yesterday's sweatshirt and sat on the edge of the bed while the officer talked. Words like disturbance, unpay tab, no charges if someone picks him up. In the background, I heard Andrew's voice, defiant, then small bleed into a hallway echo. "I'll be there," I said. I hung up and stared at myself in the black TV screen. 44. Tired, jaw clenched. I rubbed my eyes and told myself the same thing I tell patients who think the tooth will fix itself. Avoidance is expensive. I grabbed my keys. Let me back up. I grew up in a house where love sounded like "be useful." My brother Ethan got the shine. I got the shovel. He was funny, magnetic, the kind of kid who could break a window and get a hug for being spirited. I was the one you asked to move chairs, to run the errands, to stay late and lock up. That pattern followed me like a shadow. 3 quick scenes. I'm 16, standing at the sink scrubbing casserole off a pan while mom laughs in the living room with Ethan's friends. "Maze, could you be a doll and take out the trash?" I say, "Sure," because that's the script. I miss the movie they all go to. No one realizes I never came back inside. I'm 24, dental school, scrubbing coffee stains out of my one white coat in a sink while Ethan texts me a photo of the SUV Dad co-signed for. "Proud of you, kid." Dad says to Ethan at Thanksgiving. To me, "You'll figure it out." I nod because that's the role. I'm 31 married, holding a newborn who won't stop crying. My wife, then wife, Lauren, on the couch scrolling, says he likes you more. You're calmer. I tell myself, that's love. I rock him until my arms go numb. The money piece started slow, then all at once. 5 years ago, after my parents announced they were downsizing, Mom called me with the voice she used when she wanted something to sound like my idea. Honey, the house means so much to the family. Your grandparents built it with their hands. It would break my heart to sell to strangers. I said, what are you asking? Could you take over the mortgage while we transfer things? Just until we figure out the estate. Keep it in the family. $331,742.19 remaining. Fixed at 3.9%. I ran the numbers. I could shoulder it barely. I told Lauren. She said, it's your family. Do what you need to do. So I did. I refinanced to keep the rate and prevent a sale to a developer for 5 years. I carried that note. $18.87 a month plus escrow. Property tax spikes. A new roof after a windstorm. I mowed the lawn on Saturdays. I painted the porch when boards peeled like sunburn. I replaced the water heater when it died in February. I didn't complain. I told myself I was preserving something. Thank you, Mason. Mom would say, you're a saint. Saints aren't on deeds, apparently. 2 months ago, I stopped by the county recorder's office to pick up a plat map for a fence permit. A small thing for the tenant I'd placed in the downstairs unit to offset costs. The clerk, a woman with a coffee-stained smile and pink glasses chain, typed the parcel number and frowned. Looks like we processed a quick claim on this parcel last year, she said. No, I said automatic. Must be a different lot. She rotated the monitor. My parents' names rolled across the screen. Then grantee Ethan Harper and Sheila Harper, husband and wife, as joint tenants. Date recorded 11 months ago. My name didn't appear anywhere. You know the feeling when Novocaine misses a spot and you hit a nerve you didn't know was exposed? That can I get a copy? I asked. She printed $2 per page. I paid in cash and carried the paper to my car like it might disintegrate if I breathed wrong. I called Mom. Oh. She said first word sugar, second word vinegar. We were meaning to tell you. Ethan has the kids. It just made sense. Mom, I said, I've been paying the mortgage. Well, she said softly. You're so good with money. We knew you'd understand. I didn't yell. I didn't hang up. I sat there and stared at the words quitclaim deed while my tongue felt too big for my mouth. That night, I pulled the box of documents from the closet and started what I refused to call a revenge folder. Receipts, that's all. I printed 5 years of bank statements with the mortgage drafts highlighted. I pulled the original refinance letter with my name as borrower. I found emails from Mom, phrases like, we so appreciate you taking this on, and you're keeping our legacy alive. I flagged a text from Dad. We'll make it right when the estate settles. I read the loan docs, cover to cover the way I read consent forms at work, so no one gets surprised later. Clause 4.7. Borrower shall not transfer any interest in the property without lender's prior written consent. I didn't see any consent. I emailed the recorder for a full PDF of the deed transfer. I cross-checked dates with my autopay. I screenshotted a group text where Ethan asked if he could host a little get-together at my place that turned out to be a loud party at the house I was still insuring under my policy. Lauren and I were already separated by then. Different story, different wound. We were amicable on paper. Tintin practice. Co-parenting a teenager who had learned early that triangulation is a sport. Why do you care about a house you don't even live in? Andrew asked when I paused at the kitchen table, a spreadsheet open, my eyes sore. Because I was asked to carry it, I said. He shrugged. Grandma says you're obsessed. Small cuts. Death by 1,000 of them. I kept gathering. Quietly. I requested the lender's correspondence file. I asked my accountant to prepare a simple timeline with payments and tax deductions taken. I printed the hazard insurance declaration naming me as primary insured. I built a binder with tabs, mortgage, taxes, insurance, correspondence, deed. I didn't go nuclear. I didn't freeze accounts. I didn't call a reporter. I kept going work, drilling, filling, polishing, and telling people. Conditions don't improve because you hope they will. They improve with treatment plans and follow through. Meanwhile, the family chorus turned the volume up. You're selfish. Mom texted when I declined to pay for Ethan's new fence because the kids need a safe yard. Think of the children. Ethan called. Bro, it's not that deep. You're a dentist. You're fine. My son rolled his eyes at dinner. You could just let it go. Then came Lauren's aside in the driveway. Voice low, eyes pitying. Sometimes you make things harder than they need to be. I breathed. I filed. I went for runs at dawn and counted the number of call attempts on my lock screen. 14 in a day, 22 the next. 31 when I stopped answering. 2 nights before the 2 a.m. call, Andrew launched his words like darts. I love Mom more. You're so annoying. That's why she left. I rinsed the bowl. I didn't say, son, I funded your mother's graduate classes, your braces, your summer camps, and the mortgage on a house I don't own. I didn't say, I'm tired. I said, okay. Officer Delgado slid the clipboard across the counter. The 7th precinct smells like old coffee and floor cleaner. Andrew sat on a plastic chair. Hood up, eyes red. You good? I asked. Silence. Let's go, I said. In the car, he watched the window. I'm not giving you money for club tabs, I said evenly. He scoffed. I didn't even drink. It's a cover charge. My friends, call your mom, I said again, gentle, firm. At a red light, he muttered, you're such a buzzkill. We drove in quiet, the kind that fills every crack in the dash. 2 days later, my mother texted, family dinner. Sunday, 5 p.m. non-negotiable. We need to talk. I brought the binder. Their dining room smelled like rosemary and staged harmony. Ethan's kids chased each other down the hall. Sheila poured wine. Mom arranged napkins like origami. Dad stood at the head of the table under the framed photo of the house, the one I painted. Let's be adults, Mom said, clasping her hands. Great, I said and set the binder down. Ethan rolled his eyes. Is that your little scrapbook? Documentation, I said. Of what? Mom asked sweetly. I opened to the first tab. Mortgage payments? I said, sliding a stack of highlighted statements across. 60 payments, totaling $113,220 in principal and interest. Another $18,400 in property taxes, $9,600 in insurance. A roof, $7,850. Water heater, $1,200. Miscellaneous repairs, $2,320. I have receipts. Ethan laughed. You want a medal? I want clarity, I said. And consent. Mom blinked. Consent. I turned the page to the deed copy and the lender's note. Red boxed. Clause 4.7. Mom, Dad, I said calm. You executed a quick claim deed transferring the property to Ethan and Sheila while there was an active mortgage in my name. Clause 4.7 prohibits transfer without lender consent. Did you have it? Silence. I watch faces the way I watch pupils dilate under a bright light. Dad cleared his throat. We didn't think. I slid the print out from the lender. No consent requested or granted. Here's the screenshot, I said, tapping my phone. The email thread, the date stamp, the subject line, the lender's compliance rep. Any unauthorized transfer constitutes a default. Lauren, who had agreed to come for peace, shifted in her seat. Mason. I looked at Andrew. He was watching his fork. Ethan puffed up. You wouldn't. I'm not here to threaten, I said. I'm here to set boundaries and fix what you broke. Mom's voice sharpened. We did this for the children, for stability. I nodded. Then here's a stable plan. We correct title to reflect either my ownership or a recorded equitable lien for my contributions. We refinance if needed. We sign a written occupancy agreement if Ethan remains. We memorialize repayment, even if it's over time. And we stop pretending this is fine. Sheila's wine glass clinked against the plate. This is insane. I slid the last page across the table, a letter drafted by my attorney, not filed, not served. It summarized dates and amounts. It referenced gently the potential call to the lender if a fix was refused. It proposed a quiet correction. It included the deadline. I kept my voice low. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. The room held its breath. Mom's face moved first, a tremble around her eyes. Then the switch flipped into performance mode. After all we've done for you. Dad tried the stern route. Mason, you will not dismantle this family over paperwork. Ethan went for mockery. Of course, the dentist brings a binder. Lauren whispered, please, just not like this. Andrew said nothing. I closed the binder. Like what? Combe documented. Fair. The conversation fractured, then exploded. You're ruining us. You're selfish. You don't care about the kids. You always were rigid. You think you're better because you have money. I stood. I'm going home. You have 14 days. If I don't hear from your counsel with a correction plan, I'll contact the lender and proceed to protect my interests. Mom gasped like I'd slapped the table. I didn't. I touched nothing. I walked out. On the drive back, my phone lit up like a slot machine. 21 missed calls by the time I parked. 8 texts in all caps. A voicemail from Dad that started measured and ended thick with anger. A screenshot from Ethan of a group chat. He's serious. What a psycho. I set the phone face down on the counter and boiled water for pasta. The kettle whistled. My phone vibrated across the laminate like an insect. I didn't pick up. The first 48 hours were loud. 37 calls Sunday night. 22 Monday morning before I saw my first patient. Mom on repeat. Dad once, then again, Ethan alternating between demands and jokes. Bro, chill. Bro, you will regret this. Aunt Karen chimed in from 3 states away. Family is forever. Cousin Jess. Kids need a backyard. A neighbor I barely know texted. Heard you're taking your parents to court. Yikes. I didn't post. I didn't subtweet. I didn't leak. I hired a different kind of noise. My attorney, Ms. Ruiz, sent a letter on letterhead. Calm, factual, boring in the way safety is boring. She attached the timeline. She referenced clause 4.7. She proposed 3 options. 1. Record a corrective deed restoring title to me. 2. Execute and record an equitable lien in my favor and refinance correctly with lender consent plus a written repayment schedule. Or 3. Sell and distribute proceeds by formula accounting for my contributions. First, she gave them 10 business days. She copied the lender's generic legal inbox without commentary. I changed my voicemail. For urgent patient matters, call the office. For personal matters, email. I created a rule. Family calls between 6 to 7 p.m. only on Wednesdays. Everything else went to an archive. I blocked no one. I just contained. Wednesday at 6 o'clock. The phone filled the room with buzzing bees. I set it on the table and made tea. I let it ring. At 6:40, I answered, Mom, you're killing me. She said, No, I said I'm asking for a repair. Think of the children. I am. I'm a child in this family, and I'm thinking of myself too. Your brother will be homeless. She tried. He has a household income and a wife with a job. He is not homeless. She pivoted. We raised you, and I paid your mortgage for 5 years. Silence. Then the dagger soft as a lullaby. No wonder Lauren left. I waited for the sting. It landed duller than before. Good night, Mom, I said, and hung up. Andrew texted sometimes. Teenage pragmatism bubbling up when he needed rides or spending money. Can I have $60 for gas? I'll transfer $30. You can earn the rest by mowing Saturday. Mom's boyfriend doesn't make me do that. Okay, you're impossible. I love you. He ignored that one. The lender wrote back to Ms. Ruiz. Yes. Unauthorized transfer. No, they hadn't noticed. Yes, they expected it to be corrected. Please advise. Ms. Ruiz forwarded the email with a single line. This helps. Lauren cornered me in the driveway during a handoff. You're escalating, she said. I'm clarifying, I said. There's a difference. Andrew is anxious, she said. He says you're making everything about money. I'm making things about boundaries. I said money is the tool. She shook her head. You know, he said those things because he was hurt. I know, I said. I didn't throw them back. The call slowed, then changed shape. Guilt to bargaining. What if we put you on the deed now? Ethan texted, but we still keep it in our name so we can get a better rate. He actually typed that. Ms. Ruiz sent another letter. No. The 10th business day arrived. An email from a lawyer I didn't know with a last name. That sounds expensive. We propose to record a deed restoring title to our client's son, Mason Harper, subject to lender consent. We will also execute a written occupancy and repayment agreement with the current occupants, Ethan and Sheila Harper. Please provide preferred language for the equitable lien. I read it twice, then a third time. Then I walked to the river and stood on the pedestrian bridge while a cold wind cut through my sweatshirt in a way that felt like a rinse. Not victory, not gloating, something quieter. The kind of silence that hums. Andrew called that night. Grandma's crying, he said. Accusation balanced with confusion. I know, I said. Crying doesn't change facts. He was quiet. Are you mad at me? I'm disappointed. I said, not in your words. In how little you believe mine, he sighed. Can I still come over this weekend? Yes, I said. He came at 7 o'clock. He did not take off his shoes. He opened my fridge, gazed at the stacked meal containers, and said, You're so boring. I'm steady, I said. Sunday. I showed him the binder. Not all of it. Just one page, the clause, the timeline. His eyes moved, his jaw set. I don't care about this, he said. I know, I said, but I want you to know why I care. At 11:40 p.m., my phone rang. Mom again, I let it go. At 11:41, Ethan, let it go. At 11:42, a number I didn't recognize. Officer Delgado again. Just a welfare check, he said. Your mother called in concerns. I laughed once. Not mean, just tired. We're fine, officer. Thank you. He paused, then said softly, You're not the first person to fix a mess they didn't make. I slept that night, deep, no white noise. The next week, we met at a notary, documents crisp, ink cold. Ethan didn't look at me. Shiloh wore sunglasses indoors. Mom didn't come. Dad signed with a sigh that tried to sound like a growl. The notary slid me a copy. All set, she said. I didn't high-five anyone. I put the documents in my bag and went to work. A double root canal at 2 o'clock. A patient who fainted at 3:15. A child who got a dinosaur sticker at 4 o'clock and told me very seriously, My tooth is brave. I believed him. The calls didn't stop, but the content changed again. Practical. When will the new lease be ready? Can we pay monthly? How much? Ruiz handled most of it. I paid her invoices on time. I slept with my phone in another room. I started swimming before clinic. The water felt like a different kind of quiet. Andrew didn't bring up the club. He didn't say he was sorry for what he said. I didn't ask for an apology on his schedule. I cooked his pasta on Sunday night. He ate 2 bowls and left his dish in the sink. I washed it. A habit dies last. A year later, people ask if things are better. I tell them the truth. Things are clearer. Ethan sends rent on the 1st. Sometimes he's late. The lease has late fees. He learns. Sheila plants tomatoes in spring and leaves a basket on my stoop in July without a note. I make sauce and bring a jar to the notary as a weird thank you no one asked for. Mom texts pictures of holiday tables I'm not invited to. I heart some of them. I ignore others. She adds a PS sometimes. You could always come back if you stop this. I don't reply to PSs. I reply to questions about Andrew's schedule. Pick up at 5. Great. We keep it like a calendar. Clean. Dad called me on my birthday. You did what you had to do. He said, voice small for once. I did what I should have done earlier, I said. But I'm learning. Lauren and I co-parent like 2 professionals who finally stopped trying to sell each other on a product neither wants. We exchange information. We draw lines. We don't pick scabs for sport. Andrew is still 17 in my head even though he turned 18 last month. He asked for money less and work more. He got a part-time job at a hardware store. He thinks that is hilarious because I am too fancy to know what a stud finder is. I show him how to balance a budget on an app and how to floss without bleeding. He never apologized for that line in my kitchen, not with words. Instead, he texted me a photo at 11:02 p.m. one night, his debit card with a $0 balance and a note. Figured it out. Worked an extra shift. NBD. I stared at it until the screen dimmed. The house. It's a house. A line on a ledger. A set of keys that live on a hook by my door with a little enamel tooth on the keychain because my assistant thought that was funny. It doesn't feel like an anchor anymore. It feels like a decision I hold. Closure isn't cinematic. It's paperwork and sleep. It's a voicemail you don't return. It's the second week in a row you wake at 5:30 and realize your jaw isn't clenched. It's paying an attorney and not resenting the bill because it bought you a kind of quiet you didn't know you could afford. I keep the binder on a shelf now, not in the closet, not under the bed, visible not to gloat, but to remind myself that invisible work counts, even if no one claps. On the anniversary of the notary, I walked to the river with a small envelope. Inside was a brass key I'd kept on my ring for too long. It used to open my parents' back door before they changed the locks and forgot to tell me. It doesn't open anything now. I threw it in. It sank without drama. The water kept moving. I'm not the family wallet. I'm not the hinge everyone swings on. I'm a man who sets appointments and keeps them. I am the father who shows up even when his kid calls at 23 a.m. for the wrong thing. I still answer the phone sometimes. I still say no more than I say yes. I still believe in repair over revenge. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I told them that night, and I meant it. I mean it more now. My name is Mason. I'm a dentist. I'm not invisible, and I'll never carry a house or a family on a promise no one will put in writing.